All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to On the Roof. Today, we have a wonderful guest, and we are going to dig deep and delve into the world of tantra. My guest today is Lin Holmquist. Are you like the queen of Sweden as far as what you do? Are you like the lady, the go-to person for this?
I don't used to see myself as that, but probably I am. Probably Sweden consider me to be Miss Tantra.
Miss Tantra. Miss Tantra 2018. Are you the defending champion from 2017? The reigning champ? Good for you. Well, I've met you before and we've spoke. I've looked at the stuff you do and it's fascinating. Let's explain first what it is you do. What is Tantra?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tantra is like an ancient practice of expanding the consciousness, expanding my capacity to be aware. What it is in real life, it can be many different things depending on who you are and what you're aiming at. Like some people are aiming like having the cosmic consciousness and they want to dissolve into oneness. Then Tantra is really the best and the fastest tool to do that.
Really?
Yeah. For other people, they're not aiming at dissolving into consciousness, into oneness, but they want to feel like I'm really one with the world. I feel like I'm one with the nature. I feel like I'm a part of this planet, a part of this family on the earth. But for some people, they feel like, for me, it's more important to be the family man, the family woman, and to feel safe and to feel secure and to feel connected in my family, in my personal life. So Tantra expands the life experience on all areas depending on who you are and what you're aiming at.
Is that where sometimes it gets lost? The importance of intimacy?
I see that a lot, I believe that if you're really going to ask people what is the core longing, what do you really want in life, you want to feel love, right? Mm-hmm. You want to feel love and you want to feel freedom. And some people, they think that if I get all the other things on the external, on the surface level, I will feel that way. I will feel loved, I will feel approved, and I will feel free. But many times I see it's happening on the consequence that the family gets suffering and the family life gets suffering. And I don't believe that you can get this foundational love if you're not feeling safe in your own home. I'm working with clients one-on-one or couples or small groups. Yeah. And many times the reason why people come is because they realized that they make the wrong priorities. And that their relationships are not functioning or they can't feel. Like many people come actually because they feel like, I don't feel life. I don't feel alive. So my job is to discover together with my clients, what is the blockage? Where do I have the misunderstandings? And to remove the misunderstandings and to remove the blockages so that people can feel and so that people can be present. Because when we are present, that's when we are in touch with love, in touch with unity or God or existence or universe, whatever you want to call it. It's really simple, but people make it really hard because we are adding so much to our human experience so that in the end we can't feel it.
Well, so if I came to you, just like the condition you just said, and said, I just feel like, unattached, you would just know exactly where to begin? Is that intuitive?
It's a mix of all of my life experience. I have been really nerdy interested in anatomy, physiology, psychology, and spirituality and personal development for many years. So I have studied a lot from many different places, and this is all that I'm interested in. This is all I do. So of course I have a lot of knowledge, but it's dangerous to rely on the knowledge as a tantric. As a tantrika, you should rely on the moment, on your intuition, in really seeing who is in front of you. because who is in front of you is revealing a lot only by their existence. We are constantly talking to each other without words.
I've been in a lot of therapy over the years, you know. I grew up, if you need a therapist to figure shit out, man, you're pathetic. You know, it was, not something to be proud of. But what did I know? So all the issues that I would come up with would be addressing every area of my life except this. And when you think about it, like when you're looking in life, like what do you want the most? It's that one relationship that's going to stand out above everything else. It's ironic because my journey's my journey, but when I can see this, as a link that's so important. It's like the rest of your life. For me, my issue was drugs and alcohol. So when I realized that the rest of my life is contingent on me keeping this area together, if I stay on top of this and don't let this get out of control, I have a chance to take care of all this other stuff. If this gets out of control, I don't have a chance in anything. So now that's I'm in a good place with that for enough time now where you just become like, what's going on, man? It's like I got this real stuff missing. And I mean, in order to have what you ultimately want out of a relationship, you have to, I have to take a look in and say, what do I want to bring to the table? What is it I really want? I could easily go through life and miss the point. So that's why it's important for anyone who has a real yearning to admit that this is important to them to come to somebody like you and just to learn. Like I could sit there with you, teach me, tell me, The worst case scenario, I learn. It's like, excuse me, how do you lose? There is no lose. So how often do you come and you get clients that just come to you and basically it's just ignorance. They just never learned. Nothing wrong with being ignorant, but it's better not to stay ignorant.
Yeah, I think ignorance is part of being a human and also part of our culture, because we are looking outside of ourselves for answers, and the answers that are outside, it's like they are in a very tight frame, and so we start to believe those outside truths, and we are not looking inside what we really want. Like this from my own history. I want a man, an older, more experienced man who can save me out of my misery. And that was complete ignorance, because I don't want to rely on a relationship to someone else, or I don't want to rely on a truth from someone else. That's why I don't like gurus either, because then the guru forces you to rely on his or her truth. And that's the ignorance.
It's also sometimes just putting another human being like on a higher pedestal.
And for me, I think most people have this ignorance because that's the society and the world we live in. It's not common for people to go inside and to ask, well, what is important for me? What is my truth? And to realize the only relationship that I will have from the day I was born to the day I die is the relationship to myself. And that should be my primary relationship, the one that I cherish the most, the relationship to myself. And I think all of my clients are people who are not having a primary relationship with themselves.
Let's talk about the work that you do. Is it controversial?
It's controversial. I have been fighting a lot with ignorant and scared people in my job. But now it's easier because now it's getting more and more open, and I think the need for what I do is also increasing, because people are in today. People are wealthy. People have everything that they want on a material level, and they realize I'm not satisfied anyway, and so they have time and they have money to invest in themselves to really find the true happiness. So it's getting easier and easier, my job.
Do you think they feel threatened by you?
I don't know if they might feel threatened or jealous, or like I have something that they want. So what I meet a lot.
You might have something that their husband wants.
Yeah. that can be also the case.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not hanging out with this kind of ordinary people so much, so I don't need that so much.
No, I'm not saying that in a shallow sense. I'm saying that if somebody's not evolved enough to understand that this is an issue that you're addressing and you're helping others to address, if there's no problem, you don't go to the doctor, right? Okay. So we get caught up in our lives and we get set in our ways. And suddenly it's very subtle. You may not even see it developing, but you're starting to go a little different, you know. And when the communication's not there to pull it back in and get it back on track, it starts to go. And then before you know it, the space between where you are, you know, you become separate lives almost. And it happens all the time. And you wonder, and people wonder why their relationship is not what it is, and it's because of a lot of the things that are missing, like the stuff that you teach. You know, being able to appreciate that one person above others when it comes to your own personal intimacy, and what it is you allegedly share together. Sometimes it's years between really creating that space to keep that alive. And that's just, I mean, that's not a plan. That's not a successful game plan to move forward and grow. Because you either grow together or you grow apart, if you're growing. Right?
I think what you're saying about communication is the essence here. Like how important it is to communicate, and to communicate first inside yourself. Like, what do I want to, what kind of relationship do I want? Because we're always changing, right? You're changing every month. You learn something new and you're growing. And in a relationship, we have two individuals. Every month they learn something new and they are growing, so they are changing. So that means that maybe the relationship has to change also. And so the communication has to begin with me. Like, so where do I find myself in life? What is important for me in life right now? What are the core values for me? And then communicate that to the partner without being afraid that the partner will reject you or be angry at you or not being able to receive it. And to have this open communication between me and myself and me and my partner.
Yes.
And that will keep the love alive. And the love is based on respect and feeling safe and feeling seen. So I think that's the major thing, the communication.
Also the trust and the ability to develop the level of trust where there's no judgment.
Yes, exactly.
And I can tell you right now, I spoke to a woman not too long ago. We were talking about it, and she's deep. She's really deep. And the reason she's so deep is she deals with trauma. And she's openly talking about real trauma in her life, which over time she's been able to, I guess, overcome or at least come to terms with. I don't know I don't want to say that word because I don't know if we ever really overcome this stuff. But we come to terms with where it's no longer haunting us or preventing us from moving forward, right? Like we learn to grow with our past, whatever it is, right? She does a lot of healing too through sensual massage. And there's now, right away as a guy, I'm thinking sensual massage. Healing? I'm sure you can call it healing. But I'm not looking at it for really in depth of, healing emotional scars. You know what I mean? Instant gratification. That's what it's representing to me. Right? Because that's my perception. Now, if I open my mind to where she's coming from, and I have to believe, too, because I think a lot of this shit is a scam. I think there's a lot of people doing what you do, and then they're not legit. And I think that makes it harder for you to do what you do. Like, I believe you're legit, and that's why we're having this conversation, because, and there is a real need to do, for people to be able to address this. And be open talking about it. But the trauma that she's had to deal with in her life has opened up that door, and in the darkest tunnel sometimes within that is the brightest light. Did you go through anything in your life? How did you find tantra to be your
medicine?
What?
It is medicine.
It is, but were you sick and you needed medicine?
Yeah, I think I suffered from what many people suffer from, and that's this basic mother and child connection. Like, I wasn't allowed to connect 100% with my mother when I was born, because my father was having a psychosis at that time and started to behave really, really strange in the family. So I was not allowed to attach to my mother. And for all people, for all children, it is fundamentally the most important thing is to connect with the
right
caretaker.
Out of the womb, right?
Mother, yeah. And if you don't have that strong connection, you will grow up feeling like there is a little bit of uncomfortable feeling in me. There is a feeling of being empty. There is a feeling of not belonging. I don't really belong here. And this feeling of not belonging make it difficult to receive love. And no matter how much love I got from my mother or my father, I couldn't really receive it. Because I feel it doesn't belong. I don't belong here, and their love does not. It's not for me.
That you're not worthy of that.
I'm not worthy of that, and their love doesn't come from me. It comes from my performances. But of course, as a child, you don't have this mental understanding about things. So I started to behave good. I started to create a good girl syndrome, and to get more and more love and approval in this superficial way for my deeds and not for who I am. But the more I did that, the more this emptiness grew inside of me, and the more the feeling of disconnection grew. Like, I fucking don't belong here. And my whole childhood and when I grew up as a teenager, I felt I'm an outsider. I'm a complete freak. I don't belong here. And I started to abuse myself sexually, and of course I had also sexual abuse.
How do you abuse yourself sexually? How do you do that?
I get into sexual situations to count numbers, how many I had sex with. It was not important that it was a relationship out of love or an encounter.
How old were you when you were doing this?
I started when I was 15.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay. No.
So I had a sexual abuse when I was 15. Like, the first boyfriend raped me, and after that my whole integrity just disappeared, and I started to use sexuality and sex in order to score. Like, how many people did I have sex with? And I allowed myself to do really sick things that might not have been really aligned with what I really wanted.
Excuse me one second. When you say sick things, do you mean like sexually deviant things like that? Like you crossed lines that you wouldn't have crossed?
I crossed my own boundaries.
And you gave permission to it?
Yeah, in order to create points, to get points, to be someone, you know? So that's how I related to myself my whole the younger adult life.
Were you getting a reputation?
Of course I did, yes.
And how did you deal with that part of it?
In a way, I loved it because that's what I wanted. I wanted to be someone. So in a way, I fed the reputation because the reputation made me someone. So, and in one way also, who doesn't love sex, you know? I loved sex. Absolutely loved it. But the scars it made in my soul, I wasn't aware of that it will be so many small scars in my soul and in my self-confidence and this behavior. It's like taking drugs, you know? You use something external in order to feel something short-term joy, and then afterwards you wake up with a difficult taste in the mouth, and you feel like, no, maybe this was not right, but I'll do it again to get rid of this taste in my mouth.
Listen, I learned a lot over the years by talking in depth, openly and honestly with girls that judged by men, society, women and men, I should say. I mean, just judged by people, and with that shame of what they're doing to themselves, whether they're enjoying it or not. There's somebody out there in that world smoking crack that's enjoying that. It's going to be short-lived. In that moment, they're enjoying that too. But it's not healthy. And what I'm saying is, because of my past, I can't judge. So I wasn't judging people on it because that's your way of dealing with your pain or whatever it is that you're dealing with. And I had a different way of dealing with it. It's the same thing. It's like a different nail or a different way to fix something that's broken.
But the thing is with sex and sexuality is that it is really a medicine. And what's happening when we're having sex?
Dopamine, yeah, pleasure.
We're increasing the hormone oxytocin in the body.
Right.
And oxytocin has a real medical effect on so many levels. And that's why it's so easy to use sex as medicine or unconscious, like a drug. But the moment that things really turned for me is when I started to realize I can have sex for my pleasure, like for my benefit. I don't have to give away. I used to give away my orgasm as a proof of the man's superior. Like he was so good, so I give him an orgasm to boost ego. And then I realized when I came into Tantra that, no, I'm doing this for me. This is really healthy for me. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to be greedy here. And my greed doesn't offend my partner. On the contrary, my greed is what makes him ecstatic. My pleasure gives him pleasure. So instead of thinking that I was supposed to serve a man and giving him approval or prove that he was a good lover, I started to surrender to the men instead. And I said, I'm just going to enjoy. I'm just going to fucking surrender to this blissful experience and take everything in this experience into each and every cell of my being. And I'm going to heal. I'm going to heal and I'm going to be whole. And being whole doesn't mean being perfect. Being whole means accepting and allowing all of those parts in me. The one that feels empty, the one that feels strange, the one that feels disconnected, to allow all of those parts to be an integrated part of a whole, being me, you know?
You just displayed your empowerment. Like you just owned it. You said something in there that I found brilliant was when you said, I can be whole. I can be a whole person. And coming from my limited perspective, I got validation out of that. Now, I have a therapist, and she's a woman who's helped me immensely. Out of the clear blue, one day, she says to me, I think it's time that we address your femininity. And, I mean, instantly, the wall goes right up. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Now, I've shared a lot, so she knows me, and I'm really starting to get real paranoid. Like, where is this coming from? Like, what do you mean, femininity? I have no idea which. This is not too long ago. Basically, like I'm an adolescent. You know, getting a lesson from a teacher. You know, but this is why I'm there. Like I go there to get lessons from the teacher. So I'm just like, and now it's happening, and I'm like, I'm so uncomfortable. And I'm defensive because it's an intimate area, and I get like, you know, so I get defensive, right? So when she says to me, she goes, well, let me ask you something. Would you say you define yourself by your masculinity? I've never really thought about that, and you know, it doesn't come up in my daily life, you know, so it never. I go, I guess, okay. And she says, how's that working out? Now, if I want a relationship, a whole relationship with somebody, it's probably a good idea that I learn about you. And I learn about women so that I can understand a woman, right? In order to do that, I probably first have to understand me, all of me.
Exactly.
So I can go there and say, okay, now here comes an intimate topic. Let me avoid the issue. And learn nothing and stay ignorant. And that's really all that is fear, right? Or because what you did, this is all coming back to what you said before. It was basically, and I'm going to paraphrase what you said, was about the strength was in your ability to be vulnerable. Like if you can't really allow yourself to be vulnerable if you're afraid. If you feel that strength, like then you say, okay, here, do it, you know. Like that's a confidence that you have that you can be vulnerable, right? Or you could be learning how to be vulnerable by even still being afraid, but taking that chance and taking that risk, and then you grow and get stronger. But either way, that's what the vulnerability represents. That's where you get your strength. And as a woman, if you're giving your validation to another human being, you're never going to get what you want in return, because that can only come from within you. So that's empowerment. And as a woman, you need to be Every woman needs empowerment. Every guy does too. We just take it. Like that's where the masculinity is a real detriment. Because we'll take the power. We don't know what we're doing with it, and we'll fuck it all up. But that's our journey.
And if people have a pattern of always taking what they want, will they ever get that really? Because if I'm commanding you to do something and you're really not aligned with that, you do it anyway, I will not be able to enjoy that so much as if you were giving to me freely. Like if I would come to you with my vulnerability and say, I'm really longing for your smell and I'm really longing for your touch and I really want to make deep love with you, you know? And the one that you meet says, oh my God, what you're longing for turns me on and I want to meet you there in your longing. Rather than, I'm going to fuck you, I'm going to make love to you right now. And the receiver is like, yeah, well, okay, I will do it to support your masculine pride or to fulfill my job as a woman, my ego. And I think for me, that's where I'm burning the most, because what I see happening in Sweden is that it's coming a lot of cultures from outside with a very different view on the masculine and feminine, and with a very much lower, like they look down on the feminine a lot, and like coming from patriarch culture where the woman has no right to her own body, she can't decide who will she marry, and when she's married she's supposed to be in service to her husband emotionally, sexually, and as a servant in the home. And I believe that this is their culture. It doesn't necessarily have to do with what they want, because I can't see any man want to have intimacy with a woman who doesn't want, because it doesn't bring you anything than this very short moment of release, this fucking ejaculation. You can do it in your hand or get yourself a flashlight or whatever, you know?
A flashlight?
In this kind of a little jar that looks like a pussy. You know, jerking off in other people, it's not giving you anything, you know. So I'm burning so much for coming out into the society and make people express, communicate, what do they want, what do I really want, and to listen to each other. And all right, so you want something that I don't want, well then I'm not having a relationship with you. And I find myself someone that I can have a relationship to, where we share the same needs, where we share the same vision, where we share the same ideas of life.
And for you to get the gratification that you're talking about, you really have to be woke. You have to find an evolved person that gets you. So it never gets dealt with. And, you know, it's way after we're dead. You know, 300-400 years from now, it's going to be the same. People are still going to be dealing with it. It's, I think, part of human nature. Maybe it'll be better, but it ain't going to be fixed. What do you think? Do you agree?
I think it could be fixed. I think that if people started to live more naturally and started to follow their human instinct rather than living out of their mind and the culture and the religion and the politics, and started to validate their body more and start to validate their life experience more and trust the feelings and emotions, I think within a few generations it would be fixed.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. I think in 10 years from now we will see a very different world, because once people start to awaken, we are awakening others. Like, I'm sure you have this memory somewhere in your life, someone were open with you, like, and his or her openness ripped you open, right? Just started to make you feel.
Yeah, but my situation is always more gradual because of my defensiveness. You know, so it's more gradual. It's not like one person comes in, shocks your world, and then you've changed forever. You know?
And I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy as well. Like, we need to take gradual steps, because some people, they are not mentally ready for that. So they for a while they get a little crazy. If you're making too big steps into enlightenment, it might look on the surface like you're getting a little crazy. So small steps, and I think allowing your spiritual understanding integrate in everyday life, that's the way we need to do it. Like living the way where the connection to the divine tells us to live.
What do you think it is that men don't understand or appreciate enough about that primary relationship between a man and a woman?
I think it's not that they don't appreciate, but they don't know what it could be because they didn't experience. And I think that many men have a lot of longing, but since you're men, you're not supposed to feel longing because that will make you weak. As a man, you should take what you want, but I believe that many men have this deep, deep longing to be seen, to be felt, to feel and to see, and to fully enjoy life.
Isn't that a feminine trait, though?
Yeah.
So that's why it's suppressed and denied.
Yeah, the feminine is the life, the whole life experience. And the masculine is the one who experiences life. And I think men, in general, they are longing to experience life, to feel alive, to be free, to feel the wind in their hair, and to feel their power to experience life. And I think women give the opportunity for men to experience life, but not all men are open enough to allow themselves to admit that I'm longing for this. And so they take what they think that they want. Again, living out of their head and acting on an old pattern, like using relationships or sexuality as a drug, as an addiction.
You know, I just did an interview with a bunch of guys about a blues singer, a legend who actually passed away. So we did a tribute, and we were talking about him, and I can think back to the impact that this man sang, and he sang about heartache, and he sang about women, personal stuff that I never grew up talking about this stuff to my friends, and so there's just so much lacking, and this is like feminine stuff that you're growing up trying to establish this masculinity about yourself so that you can just succeed and compete. And when you're a kid, it's just not getting beat up in the schoolyards and the parks and stuff, and just kind of just being like, kind of finding your way and earning your way, and and then and you get older and older and older, and you culture gets you, right? But the beauty of it is, and I as you were talking, I was thinking about cinema. And you can watch. I can be brought to tears by a movie. When they're done really, people can, really great artists, directors, and can really make these scenes impactful and touch you and bring that emotion out, right? Yet when it's in my own life, the wall goes right up.
Why?
Well, I just think it's an insecurity. I think it's like it's taken this long to even see it, to address it. Just life is a way of showing each person different things. It's just my learning process. Like, I love the place I'm in right now, and the ambition I have to learn what I'm looking to learn now, and the way it's coming at me just by being available. So I understand. I need to get what I want. I need to address what I want to address and stop the games and do this. So I learn from who intrigues me. It's all that matters. Judge me, I don't care. Don't like me, I don't care.
And one thing that really excites me is people's judgments, because people like us, we probably meet a lot of judgments since we're living a different kind of lifestyle, and we're choosing ecstasy, and we're choosing joy, and we're choosing evolving consciousness, and that is rare. And we will be the subject for judgment. But what really is amusing with a judgment is that once someone is pointing at you with one finger, there are 3 fingers pointing at themselves. You can only judge someone else for what you're judging yourself for. So the more you see someone judged, or the more I see someone judge me, I feel, like this. Oh, I see you're traveling in your life with a lot of burden. Like you're having a lot of restrictions on yourself. You're having a lot of judgments on yourself. You're having a lot of prison around yourself. And when you see something that is reminding you of the freedom that you lost or the love that you can't feel, you're pointing at that as if it was bad, but actually you're pointing at yourself. You're judging yourself. So I think judgment is one of the most amusing things that I can experience.
I love the way you put it that way, amusing. When judgment comes, you can chuckle.
I'm not chuckling because I don't want to be rude, but I'm having this inner smile of joy and amusement inside.
That's what we call the sneaky chuckle, the download chuckle. You know something? It's funny because we've taken totally different paths. Your path in your life and my at polar opposites in every way, right? But the lessons we learn, we might be learning the same lessons in completely different fashion. In my experience, judgment is me. I'm judging. I used to go out of my way to go to where recovery is for drugs and alcohol and be in a room with all these other people that are fucked up. And I'm as fucked up as all of them, but I would stand in the back and look at all of them and judge everybody else in the room. Like I'm not as bad as them either. I'm just me. But I never really wanted to be. I wanted to be there because I would go out of my way to be there. But then when it came time to really getting in, and it's all fear. I don't care what anybody says. It all comes down to fear. This stuff that you're talking about, this level of intimacy that you're talking about, it's a scary place to be if you're not right.
For me, there are two basic emotions. Like there is love and there is fear. And when we are in the state of fear, we will feel disconnected. And we will disconnect ourselves and wonder who is there, what do they think, and start to manipulate or start to judge and start to try to control the situation, because the control will make us feel temporarily safe, but it won't bring us into love. So what I did one day, then I had this really horrible day. I woke up, was completely messed up. I was tired. I had to do something that I really didn't want to do. I sat on the bus to go up to the city to have this kind of meeting where I didn't want to be. And I was judging people as crazy on the bus. And I was thinking this and that about the different people. And then I realized, hey, what? Now you're in the fear mode. Now you're acting and feeling and referring to life as if it was dangerous, as if there was a truth in what you're judging about all these people. And so I gave myself a little break, and I took a few deep breaths, and I started to look on the one I judged the most from a space of love. And I used my judgment to go into love, because I saw that, oh, I'm judging this person because this person reminds me about something in me that I was judged for by someone else. And actually, I love that part of myself. And that's why I can love this person even more than I love anyone else in this bus, because this person reminds me about a vulnerable part of myself that I actually love, even though if it was stepped on and rejected and pushed down my whole life. But actually, I love it because it's part of me. So that's when I realized that I can turn my judgments and my fear into love, and I can use my judgment as a way to love people even more.
Wow, so eloquently put. That was really nice.